Hello, I'm Nenette and welcome to Nenette Chocolates. In today's demonstration I should be showing you how to make hollow shapes using chocolate, and specifically I'm going to show you how to make chocolate Easter eggs today. In today's tutorial I should be showing you how to make hollow shapes using chocolate. And the example I should be using today is specifically making Easter eggs. So the process, if you have been watching my demonstrations to date, is very similar to start with as when you start making chocolate truffles. And I will be doing that same thing today in decorating my Easter egg mould. So let me introduce you to the mould to start off with. So here it is. It's exactly the same kind of thing as we had before, but with Easter egg shaped indentations instead of the chocolate truffles. So first of all, I'm going to decorate the Easter egg mould. So it's exactly the same process as where we were decorating chocolate truffle moulds before. So go back to those demonstrations for some ideas. So the world is your oyster when it comes to how you want to decorate your Easter eggs or hollow shapes. So I'm just going to keep things fairly straightforward. You can see a couple of examples here that I've shown you. So this one here, we've got a mixture of some flecks where in the past you'll have seen me using a toothbrush, for example, to flick the coloured cocoa butter into the shell. Then I've just made a very straight, simple stripe of bright red cocoa butter there. And then I've just taken a brush and just dipped it in cocoa butter and just flicked it like that to create these flecks of, or stripes, if you like, of cocoa butter there. This one's far more straightforward, and it's where I've just simply painted a stripe of colour and then gone there with some silver creative powder as well, as you can see. So today, what am I going to do? So I'm going to be using milk chocolate. I will, I think, therefore, do some red to start off with. So this cocoa butter has been tempered in the microwave, and I'm just going to add a little bit of white just to pick the colour up a bit. If I can persuade it to come out of the bottle, there we go. The darker the chocolate, if you remember, the paler that you might want to make your cocoa butter to add as your paint, if you like, so that it shows up against your chocolate, especially in this kind of scenario where you have a lot of chocolate showing through. So this is what I was talking about with the flicking, so just creating splashes of cocoa butter like this. And it doesn't matter if your paintbrush ends up hitting the surface as well, it's absolutely fine. So again, I'm going to mix it up a little bit and put some green in there as well. So a little bit of white to add to that green colour to pick up the colour a little bit to make it paler. Mix that through with the brush again, and then add that as a contrasting flick to the decoration like that. I usually get this in most places when I do this, so it's not too bad today. And let's just do a final Eastery yellow as well, just to complete the picture. I'm not going to pick that one up again. I think I'm happy with that colour as it is. I'm going to turn it around this time to get a different direction. There we go. So just leave that to dry, and then once it has done, you can then pop in there and finish your Easter egg, just as we do with creating the shells in your chocolate truffles. Just going to put that to one side like this, and this is a version that I have already created and decorated. This is more in this style here. This is a blue one, so it's actually like this down here with silver shimmer powder. This chocolate that I have tempered already is a milk chocolate, 40% milk chocolate. It's been sitting here for a little bit, so I just want to see what temperature that is. So it might need a little bit of increase. It's 31.7 actually, it's not too bad. So I shall use that. Let's see how warm this is. Again, just don't forget that if your mould is cool, it will cool your chocolate quite rapidly, so you want to make sure that you want to take the chill off there, just to make sure that the chocolate doesn't set too quickly when you're working with it. This is quite cool, I can feel it. So I'm just going to take my hot air gun and just underneath rather than the top, because I've got powder in there, and if I blow the air at the top, the powder will just fly all over the kitchen. So there you go. Right, that's just taking the edge off that. So exactly the same process as with shelling your chocolate truffles, but because your holes are so much bigger, you're using an awful lot more chocolate. So there we go, let's just complete that. And then using the blade or the scraper with downward pressure over the bowl, so hopefully we get chocolate in the bowl rather than on the table, but that's where we start anyway. Clean off the edges of the mould like that. And then, just as with the chocolate truffles, you want to get rid of any air bubbles from inside the chocolate. So a quick tap on the table. There we go. And then, just as before, I'm going to get rid of my spatula from the bowl because that will get covered in chocolate if I leave it in there with this next bit, which is to tip the chocolate back into the bowl, hopefully. Sharp tap, plastic against plastic, as always. And then whilst the tray is upside down, just clean off the excess and from the sides where it's dribbled during the tapping process. Pick it up and you can see therefore that your Easter eggs have got a lovely lining of chocolate in them like that. So this is even more important, to clap your Easter egg mould upside down on the table like this, because you really want a nice big footprint at the base of your Easter egg for the end of that process when you're putting the Easter egg together. So that will need to sit for a little while just to set. And then you might also want to go in there with a second layer of chocolate if you like, a really nice thick Easter egg, which is something that I tend to do with my Easter eggs anyway. So it adds to the substantial weight of the Easter egg as well. So this is one that I have shelled before, and this is the footprint that I was talking about before. So you would just tip the Easter eggs out of the shells like this, and then you have the final piece of the jigsaw, which is to put the Easter egg together. So how do we do that then? It's really straightforward. You need a warm surface to melt the edges of your Easter egg with. So I'm going to use this blade again. What you could alternatively do is, if you have a piece of granite like this for example, you could put that in an oven and heat it through, or actually a baking tray would be just as easy, thinking about it, or probably easier, just so it's warm, and then you complete your egg. But I'll show you how with this. So I'm just going to heat this metal blade with my air gun like this. So that's nice and warm. And then I'm just going to place the edges of my Easter egg. So if you can imagine, if you've got a larger surface area that you've heated, it'll be easier. So you can see it's just melting the edges of the Easter egg like that. And whilst it's still melted, you just take the other half and fit them together like that. And there you have a completed Easter egg. Yes, it is. Thank you very much for watching my demonstration. I hope you've enjoyed it. I would love to know what you think, so please get in touch, which you can do so via my website if you'd like to. I'd love to know also what you'd like me to show you in chocolate going forward. Just let me know your ideas. If you're watching me on YouTube, thank you. Please hit the notification bell and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.